Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, NerdMode, and today I actually want to talk about the 5 things that I would like to see for Battlefield 5. Now, of course, by no means is this going to be a comprehensive list, and I'm not going to be breaking down everything in the Battlefield franchise that I would like to see changed and or altered. However, there are a few things that I would like to highlight when it comes down to advancing Battlefield to a different stage and just really bringing it back to its original roots, but at the same expense still allowing it to spread its wings and soar when it comes down to the success that it's upheld over the years. Now, alongside that, it's also worth noting that your guys' list might be a lot different in comparison to mine. I mean, of course, I'm only going to be looking at some of the negative attributes that Battlefield 4 brought along with it and talking a little bit about what the future of Battlefield could look like. But that's not to say that everything I say should only be the way it is. I mean, of course, DICE will continue to make alterations to their formula, and they've been doing so for quite some time. As well as player feedback is definitely one of the most important things when it comes down to DICE, and we've definitely seen them continue to make alterations to their original formula, and a lot of the great ideas that they've seen over the last couple of years are primarily from the players themselves. So of course, with that said, starting things off, I have an increased level of customization. Now of course, Battlefield 4 is not shy with showing all the bells and whistles that it upholds for the Battlefield franchise. Battlefield 4 definitely has a lot of great customization options, ranging anything from underbarrels all the way to different scopes. However, one of the largest criticisms I have of the attachment system as of this current standing is that a lot of the attachments are unusable when it comes down to the negative attributes that are assigned to them. One of the best examples of this is that in Battlefield 4, the grips are almost non-usable anymore, considering that DICE a long time ago went in and made some alterations to their original formula of how they are portrayed and how they act, especially when they are assigned to a particular weapon. As of the moment, you're almost better off going with no attachment for the most part, with the exception of using the scope, considering that there's no negative attributes assigned with the scopes. So I feel like if they're going to continue to have this many attachments in the overall game, I feel like they need to make everything unique, but at the same expense, I don't think they need to have these glaring negative attributes assigned to almost every single attachment in the Battlefield series. In my personal opinion, I feel like if they're going to continue to go down this road, then it's really not even worth putting attachments in the game, considering that I'm just not going to use them. I mean, why would I take a weapon that's great for medium and long range combat and make it worse by adding a grip or any other attachment that decreases its effectiveness at those ranges? I mean, of course, you could make the argument that one of the attachments like the Ergo Grip allows you to strafe better, but you really shouldn't be moving in the first place, considering that you get a penalty for moving anyways. So in conclusion, I really feel like they need to really take another look at the attachment system, really make some glaring alterations to how they are portrayed, especially when it comes down to the negative and positive attributes that are assigned to them. And as a due result, I feel like attachments would be a lot more competitive on the battlefield. You wouldn't just look at one and go, that is the best attachment for almost every scenario, and vice versa, you would also have a lot more variety when it comes down to customization. Now, coming in at number 2, this is more of a personal thing, so of course not everybody will agree with this ideology, but of course it's still worth saying considering that I know some people have the frustrations that I do, especially on those infantry-centric maps. I would really like to see the M224 mortar, the XM25 airburst, and the UCAV discontinued from the Battlefield franchise. I think they're way too cheesy when it comes down to what the game has to offer. I mean, by no means is Battlefield considered a realistic simulator. It's definitely nowhere even close to that, and it has a lot of arcade elements that a lot of people don't always bring up. However, I feel like these attachments and these pieces of equipment really take away from what Battlefield has always been known for, which is definitely about strategy, and you can make the argument that the mortar and spamming it onto objectives is considered strategy. However, I feel like the community over the last couple of years has really taken a kind liking to using these particular weapons to only get kills and not really play the objective in any specific manner. A lot of the times players will just use these to spam corridors, they'll just consistently wait in their spawn for them to refill on their ammunition of the mortar as well as the UCAV, and you consistently see people get these multi-kills that really are not deserved. I mean, I think you'd have a hard argument saying that somebody should be able to get a 5-kill with the UCAV, considering that that player is consistently found in their spawn, and a lot of the time they're just waiting for a new one to spawn and become ready for them to fire again. Now, having these particular weapons discontinued from the franchise, I don't think would be a very big outroar. I don't think you'd hear a lot of people really get angry about them, considering that I feel like they're just really cheesy. They put the game in a different state from the original formula that's made it a success. Now, of course, alongside that, we would also see a lot more players playing the objective, which is something that these gadgets necessarily don't facilitate. I mean, they don't allow you to push onto the objective. They don't necessarily allow you to take an objective by any stretch of the imagination. So having more able and willing bodies on the objective is a lot more important than being able to secure 1 or 2 kills in the process. But of course, if for any specific reason DICE and EA is not really willing to take out these specific gadgets, then I feel like they definitely need to have a rework in terms of their effectiveness and overall where they should be able to be placed. Now of course, moving right along to number 3, free DLC and expansion packs for the Battlefield community. Over the last 6 to 9 months, we've definitely seen DICE turn over a new leaf in terms of what the company has definitely been striving for. You could definitely say that over the last 6 to 9 months, DICE has definitely increased their reputation by the community. I don't think anybody really has a problem with free DLC, considering that we've had multiple expansion packs come out as well as a couple of weapon crates, which was definitely really nice when it comes down to allowing the game to be a lot more fluent in terms of what it has to offer, and expanding the horizons of what the franchise has always been known for. I really hope this is a new direction for the DICE studio, considering that I feel like this is a much better way to facilitate your community to play on these new maps. Hiding the maps behind a paywall is not necessarily always a great idea, considering that not everybody is able to afford multiple different DLC and or expansion packs. Alongside that, if you look at a lot of the maps in Battlefield 4 that are from the vanilla version, they are the most common for the majority of players to be playing. Alongside that, a lot of the DLCs that I've even purchased, most of them are not even playable in the United States anymore, and you just cannot find any servers that really allow you to jump into those particular types of maps. So all of that time that DICE spent dumping a bunch of resources into them, nobody's being able to enjoy them, considering that we all own the DLC, but we're not able to play it and use the particular weapons and maps that are enabled on those particular servers. So of course, having the ability to have free DLC for your community would really allow all the maps to be able to be played at any given moment, no matter where they're located. And this would definitely appease the entire community, because the players that are traditionally used to purchasing the DLCs would no longer have to purchase them, or at least the specific map packs that are involved in this particular case, as well as it would allow players that do not traditionally buy DLC and or expansion packs the ability to play on new maps, which in turn would fill the servers up themselves. Now of course, transferring over to number 4, we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about the support for the competitive scene. Over the last couple of months, we've been seeing a lot of information and a lot of strides from DICE/EA to make strides towards the competitive scene. Having a competitive scene for your particular type of game offers a lot of great attributes and a lot of great positives that cannot normally be achieved by just building your community up by waiting for sales. Having a competitive scene for the Battlefield franchise would definitely be a great thing for allowing new people to jump into the game that are not traditionally going to find the game themselves. Being able to watch a game on Twitch or whatever site that EA decides to sponsor and or use is definitely going to be something that's going to really help increase the Battlefield franchise population, which as the community really allows servers to be filled and you never really have to worry about certain maps not being playable. And of course, we can't forget about the people that like to participate in these events. They'll definitely be heavily rewarded in terms of prize money and some sponsored deals and all that great stuff that comes associated with doing the competitive scene, which really builds our reputation as a community and overall as a game entirely. And last but not least, we definitely can't talk about Battlefield franchise without talking a little bit about a stable launch as well as continued network advancements. So of course, Battlefield 4, I don't think you'll really find anybody that will say that Battlefield 4 had a very stable launch. I mean, it was definitely one of the most unstable games that probably came out during its time. But of course, with that said, if you look at where Battlefield 4 is at now, it's definitely one of the better FPSs that is currently available on the market. Battlefield 4 is definitely a much different game than it originally was when it first came out. We've definitely seen a lot of advancements in terms of weapon balance, and a lot of things have just overall been changed and or added into the game entirely. Now, of course, Battlefield 5 definitely cannot have the same thing occur as Battlefield 4. Definitely, Battlefield 5 needs to heavily focus on a very stable launch when it first comes out. Now, of course, with that said, I really don't think that's going to be much of a problem, considering that Battlefront came out, and Battlefront was actually very stable and very well optimized when it came out. Now, of course, also taking a look at Hardline. Hardline also came out by Visceral Studios, which is also under EA, and that was definitely pretty stable as well. So I think we are probably a little bit too far away from the instability phases of the Battlefield franchise. However, when DICE decides to do a beta for Battlefield 5, this is definitely a lot of feedback that they need to be getting, and they definitely need to nail down the stability phase of the Battlefield franchise entirely, as well as just Battlefield 5 for the next upcoming Battlefield title. Now, of course, they need to continue to do network advancements. They've been definitely doing really good in this department. I mean, again, like talking about when Battlefield 4 first came out, it was very bad. I mean, you were getting shot around corners that were unbelievable at some times. Now, of course, if you take a look at where we are currently, I mean, of course, you're still getting shot around corners occasionally, but it's nowhere near as consistent as it used to be. A lot of the times you get shot around corners is because part of your character model was still shown on their screen. I think a lot of players kind of forget that your character model obviously a lot of the times will have like a backpack or some kind of apparatus around their overall suit. And of course, considering that this is a video game, I think a lot of us just forget that the overall game still takes those shots to the backpack as damage to your overall character. But in conclusion, I feel like DICE needs to continually update their network, no matter if it's minor or major. I mean, major improvements are definitely very noticeable, but minor improvements are definitely something that we continually need to definitely add the enjoyability of the Battlefield franchise. Also, minor updates are also very important for allowing major updates to come out in the first place, so of course, definitely there's always a lot of great things happening in that aspect, and I would like them to continually update it no matter if it's minor or major. But anyway guys, that is my list for the top 5 things that I would like to see in Battlefield 5. I felt like we covered anything ranging from EA/DICE all the way to the overall community and how they use particular weapons and or attachments. But of course guys, if you guys would like to leave me your top 5 list in the comments below, maybe we'll have some things that are alike and maybe we'll have some differences and some different playstyles that we really like and or disagree with. But until the next episode guys, this has been NMO and I'm going to be signing out guys. Peace.